in the YouTube studio. Oh, okay. Looks like it's ready. All right, it's doing stuff. Okay, looks like we're live. I'll get you the link to that.
I'm on your thing right now, and I'm not seeing it.
There's updated or something.
There we go. I see it.
All right.
So let me mute this. I'm gonna mute the video, and then I'm gonna copy this here. And then I'm also gonna post it on Twitter.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, my Twitter presence is next to nothing, but it's better than nothing, right?
Yeah. Let's see. I'm not seeing any viewers at the moment, but that should come. I dropped a link in a bunch of servers.
They'll start trickling in here. I always give them a minute or two as well, so.
Yeah.
That up, and then let me do. How do I share this? Let's see. I gotta go here. All right, go to my channel.
Kind of funny. I made a custom thumbnail for this and stuff. Took me only like 5 minutes, but now I don't remember how to change the thumbnail anymore, and
Oh, yeah.
I'm a little confused. No, actually, I just found it. Here.
Right.
We got some people in the chat. We got Blue Frog Nick. Hi, how's it going? And Tartan Snowflake, otherwise known as Lane's grandma. Although I don't. Yeah, she's from the Right Discord. How's it going, you guys? Gals and other unspecified, perhaps. um, yeah.
Paradox, is this something you're looking to do more? Get more some more live streaming stuff like that?
Um, it might be. I've considered it just to, I don't know, some accountability to put out something every once in a while, even if it's just an editing type stream or something. Um,
Right.
so I'd like to be able to stream a little bit more, I suppose. Um, I know you got a pretty regular thing going because you're normally going, is it maybe not every Tuesday, but
Yeah,
how
so yeah, it is actually every Tuesday. I started doing it. I realized my wife does stuff for the youth on Tuesdays, and so it works out that a little extra time.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, that works out. Yeah. Tartan Snowflake says hello to both hosts. Hope you're both doing well. How are you, by the way?
Me? Oh, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I was just
So you got
yeah, I'm curious how LG's doing too, or Tartan Snowflake's doing too. I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. You're probably talking. I'm doing pretty good. Just kind of working today. Looking forward to be able to do this. Pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm getting a lot of stuff out, a lot of material out, so I can't complain. But, yeah, I'm doing well.
Yeah, you've been posting a lot of stuff lately. I haven't been able to watch
Yeah.
all of it, but like,
No, you're good. No, yeah, I think I'm going a little overkill on it, but it's whatever.
yeah.
What, yeah.
All right, so I guess. Well, I guess kind of to start out, so the people here probably know me, and I don't know if they know you yet. So how about you, I guess, introduce yourself to the people here. You tell us about like some of your, I don't know, just whatever you feel like talking about with your writing and stuff, just like how you got into writing, what you like to write about, just a little brief blurb on that, I suppose.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so the channel, I have going is Entropic Society. It's a fun little channel. I got a good little following going. Yeah, so, I do a lot of, things that are, like, obviously scary stories, but, stories that I find to be interesting. Because there's a lot of channels out there that do a lot of different things. I know that there's a lot of like Let's Not Meet or like true crime out there, which are fine, but those aren't really things I find terribly scary.
Hmm.
Like interacting with people, kind of. I don't know, but so yeah, so I do more of like cryptids, paranormal stuff, skinwalkers, wendigos, kind of thing. More monsters, kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um. I just enjoy that more because it's more of the concept of being out in the woods. Things that I would like to see the least are things I probably would write about. So,
The things you like
um,
to see the least are the things you write about the most. I gotcha.
yeah. Um, yeah. So, I started off I started technically the channel in December of 2018, but I didn't post anything till January of 2019, so about a month. And what kind of got me going was the fact that oh shoot was the fact that what do you call it so like on different forums like you have Reddit and you have Creepypasta Wiki and other like places. There's been kind of a big push lately, especially in Reddit, where you have to get um permission and approval
Hmm.
and and things like that, and there was kind of a time where a lot of people weren't. And so a lot of writers weren't giving out permission, at least to me. And so I was like, well, I'll just write my own stories. And so that's kind of what I've been doing, and it's been working out. So it wasn't until recently I started using Creepypasta Wiki, or I started reaching. I only reach out to people on the Creepypasta Wiki. I don't really mess with Reddit just because I haven't had great experiences on Reddit. It's just always been you know um people are kind of, I wouldn't say bitter, but less willing to let you read their stories
I gotcha.
on that forum. So I don't know if you experienced that or not, but I was like, okay, well, because at the time I was a very small channel,
Yeah.
um, like less than 20 subscribers, and they either wanted me to pay them or didn't want to even have anything to do with me because I was so small.
Yeah.
And so at that level, you're not making anything. So yeah, I was like, I don't, and I was in school at the time, so yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know you had your channel going for so long. It's like I don't know at what point I learned about your channel, but I think we first started interacting like on like Twitter and stuff. It's like some like writing group or something. Um, I don't know what's that.
Yeah, I think was I can't remember how we found each other.
Hmm.
I think there was a time I was using Reddit, and I think I tried to do like a collaboration. I think that's where I found you.
Hmm.
Like you and like Mad Chatter
Oh, that might have been that. Yeah, Mad Chatter was getting together a big
and
consensus thing, or not consensus, collaboration thing. Um,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, we got a few people dropping in. And looks like there's a question for you from Tartan Snowflake. Um,
Oh,
hey
sure.
Banshee, how's it going? Nice to see you. And hi Lady Spookaria, how are you doing? Um, I'm losing my train of If you want, you can get to that question.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm just responding to let's see. Question. Is it are you referring to Tartan Snowflake?
Yeah, I think she like Tartan Snowflake was asking like you were talking about
If I
the cryptids and like skinwalkers, I think, and stuff like that, and so I think that's the reason for that question, like the
Oh, I thought she was talking I thought Tartan Snowflake was talking to you about background music. Okay, that makes sense. Sorry.
context.
Yeah, so no, I don't have an indigenous background. I don't. I just find that that culture is very interesting.
Oh yeah.
And the things like their culture, like their scary things like scare me a lot. So
Mm.
I like that.
I kind of find that stuff interesting as well, just because it's like, and not just in the scary stuff. But I mean, like it's really interesting to read out about because it's like stories from like like Native American perspective, indigenous perspectives are so interesting because I mean, it's not to say our culture doesn't like my culture doesn't affect me or like it's a sort of different ethnic culture that I'm used to experiencing. So it's cool to be able to see how that affects the people and everything and how they view the world and
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting stuff. Um, yeah. Oh, I guess while I'm thinking about it, I guess sort of my background with I guess with horror and all this, I actually started like I don't do much with my channel. Just generally, I'm sure that there's well, yeah, I haven't posted a video in a really long time, but I think like always I've liked writing scary stories for a long time. I think the first one I wrote was in like high school or no, middle school or something, but it wasn't anything to be proud of really. But like as far as when I first seriously started writing was also when I was in school. Um, and had ideas for like all these like short scary stories and stuff and I came across like that subreddit. It's like less than 500 words. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but there's some real gems in there, but they're found them super fun to write myself and
Oh
started
yeah.
writing 2 sentence horror stories and stuff um and was myself like starting to listen to different people like Dark Somnium is probably one of my is like my favorite like narrator, probably one of the first ones
Yeah.
I ran across.
Oh
um
yeah.
and I've like kept writing since then, just like that's just bits and pieces here and there. I've got probably like 7 different projects that are just kind of in various stages of completion that I'm like, I'd like to eventually
Oh
get
yeah.
them done, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. I still have that I had you read you were in a collaboration of mine. I had you read that one story I wrote. I still have that. I was going through my stuff and I saw it the other day and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." Yeah.
How long ago was that? Because I think I remember the one that was like a Skinwalker one with the
Yeah.
coyotes.
So it was kind of interesting. I think it was a while ago because so I did a purge on my channel because what ended up happening was I was misguided. There was a website I thought had royalty-free web backgrounds, like animated backgrounds,
Mm-hmm.
and it turned out it wasn't, and they took a lot of stuff from like other YouTube channels, and
Oh,
so I didn't realize that until I got hit with a copy strike. So I had to take a bunch of stuff down, and then when I took it down, I was like, I also realized my audio wasn't that good, so I purged like 30 or 40 videos.
oh,
So I think because it was a while ago. I think that was part of the purge I did, and so I basically just started over. Um, but yeah, like it was like I want to say about 2 years ago. Um, coming up on 2 years, I think.
okay. Dang. Yeah. Remember it was a fun one to be able to do, just be able to do a fun collaboration, and plus with a story that someone else that like that you'd written yourself. That was pretty cool.
Right.
Um, yeah, and it was just a short, fun little one.
Yeah, I still have the I can send it back to you if you want the story. I can have you can read it if you want, not like on your channel. You can use it obviously.
Okay. I've got a bunch of stuff that I'm like kind of backlogged on that I'd like to do, a few stories that I've put out recently, but
Oh,
I'll
nice.
let you know if I got an opening for stuff. Um,
Oh yeah, I mean,
but I
you don't
think it
have
might
to
be
if you don't need
interesting. Like I haven't done many Skinwalker stories. I'd love to be able to like. I have one that I'm trying to write that's kind of hard. Like it's just a hard one to write. It's just kind of really back burner. But I'd still like to write it. Anyway, um, yeah.
to. Oh, okay. Cool. Speaking of writing, what projects you got coming up?
Let's say I'd say hmm, I guess I've got two that are kind of well, I'll say like the two that I have most on my mind lately that I've put in the most work for. I've got one that's just a sort of like it's essentially a guy that is like as far as you know everything's normal and everything, but it turns out he's had his like consciousness jacked into some like into an MMO that might vaguely resemble RuneScape because I grew up playing that game, so I just thought it'd be fun to kind of throw that in. And there's other stuff that goes on, of course, but that's part of the main premise is that like he's like within this fake game world and also being controlled almost like essentially like a player character and stuff. And the other one is a series that I'm like wanting to write on like No Sleep and stuff about a teenager that when he's able to essentially I'm thinking about calling it something like Tales of Ride Along or something, but essentially he can piggyback onto people's like consciousness, I guess you could say, and like essentially when he kind of piggybacks onto people's consciousness, it's only to people that are soon going to die, and so he sees like kind of their inward experience and what's happening to them, sees through their eyes and everything, but isn't able to influence anything and just kind of sees what happens as they go towards death and has to kind of find a way to deal with that and the other things that start happening to him and everything. So yeah, those are the big things that I've got, the big projects that I've got going at the moment. Never written a
Oh,
series before, so I'm welcoming the challenge to do something that's multi-part and that actually has multiple characters to it instead of just
oh yeah.
person having an experience, it's person having experience with other people and stuff. So yeah,
Hmm.
what about you?
Um, yeah, I got a couple projects going on. I'm trying to change up my video format a little bit. Do you know of what lurks beneath?
I mean, it sounds familiar. It's a YouTube channel, I take it.
Yeah.
I I think I've heard mention of that channel, but I haven't seen anything from
Oh,
him.
okay. Yeah, he and I collabed back before my purge, and no, so he does a lot of cool stuff. So he primarily did narrations, and then he kind of started doing more. You know who Mr. Ballin is, right?
I think so. Yeah. That one sounds a
Okay,
bit more
so
familiar.
yeah, so he kind of he like it's like a I don't know what like the name of it, but he basically like films himself and he talks about these stories, and it's more of a video where what we kind of do are more narrations. So I was actually looking to actually get into more actual video concepts of me filming myself and
Oh, okay.
telling stories. Yeah, so I just bought a camera and some lights and the green screen. So that's kind of the process I'm in now.
Yeah.
Um, so what I'm probably gonna do is make it more of a Patreon thing at first,
Mm-hmm.
and then when I get the kinks worked out, slowly implement it into the my actual channel, and then hopefully it'll take off. So because what lurks beneath, so his channel, I think he was around like 70, maybe 60,000 subscribers when he tried doing it, and his channel has just exploded
Oh.
since.
Okay, I'm looking it up and I'm like, Mr. Ballin, actually, I've seen some YouTube shorts from him as he talks about some sort of like, not necessarily urban legends type stuff, but like, I was literally just just different like criminal cases and stuff, and just like, yeah. So you're thinking kind of something like that, where it's like it's live and everything, but like, what's going to be your focus, like specifically?
Yeah, so what I was gonna do, I was gonna think of doing more of like, so keep the same narration stuff because that's obviously doing decent,
Yeah.
and then maybe incorporate some like some not investigation where I like go out into the field or anything,
Mhm.
but just kind of like talk about what I find, like Skinwalker Ranch, or there's like a couple of weird experiences I could share, and I could like provide pictures and stuff. Like I could share like the time I thought I was abducted by aliens, or let's see, like what else? Like I have some theories on different horror things that have happened, like the Dotov Pass and things like that, and like there's some scary stuff out there. Like I feel like I could present it. Like you can't really do it justice with just narration. Like you kind of have to show images and pictures. And so I thought I could, instead of being more of just a voice, I can be a more of try to incorporate more of a personality kind of thing.
Yeah, and then like there's the aspect of like presentation to it and everything, and
Right.
okay, cool.
So yeah, and like that's kind of what I'm working on. So it's a lot more grueling. Like you probably know this also with narration is it's people think it's pretty cut and dry, but you gotta have the right software. You gotta have the recording material, and then there's the editing of the
Oh
audio. I
yeah.
mean that took me 6 months to even make it even listenable. Like it was rough. So yeah, I'm kind of just going through the learning pains of that. So I'm nowhere near being able to do anything like that. But yeah,
Yeah, that's probably one of the big things I have to deal with, like this. I haven't been posting for a while because my job involves a lot of paperwork, behind the scenes stuff, and so I have like not like paperwork and forms I have to fill out and everything, and so it I don't want to spend more time on my computer, and so that's like editing can kind of feel like a drag. Like 'cause recording it might be super fun, especially like kind of getting the feel for the story and everything, but like things have changed for me where like I don't have a good place, really very good place to record anymore. I have roommates and their schedules are all over the place, and so it's hard to find quiet times to record and all sorts of
right.
stuff like that. But I think it's the same with writing too, where it's just like I mean the like the I don't know what to call it, but like the joy of doing it and the flow you get into is just great when you're like have an idea and you just run with it. When something's just working, you're really feeling it and you're in this flow state, and then you have to edit it. You have to like um there's the advice I heard one time where it's just like at least with writing, I heard the advice they say kill your darlings, where it's just like you love how something turns out, like you love something, but you realize that it's like it's not, you have to like trim it and cut it and maybe even scrap things entirely if they're not working out. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's the hardest thing too, is when you put a lot of time and effort and passion behind something and it just isn't working. Like that's so hard to scrap it and start over.
yeah. And I've realized something for me, like I've realized it's a problem with writing, with videos, with like, because I think I've recorded some videos that I'm just like, I just kind of stopped partway through just because the, like, it's easy. It's, well, starting something is, I mean, with my job, I talk with a lot of people, and so like a lot of times, like help them work on goals and everything. And a lot of the times, I'm like, the hardest thing is starting, and I'm finding a really hard thing for me. And I don't know if you feel the same way. A hard thing is to be able to finish something, to bring it the rest of the way to completion, to finish the polish and all that stuff. Is that kind of your experience?
That's I feel like that's kind of where I can justify things. I feel I kind of have the other issue of um like trying to start. Like
Mm,
starting
okay.
like right now I'm trying to put together a collaboration and I don't like I have this long story I have in mind and just looking at it is just like it's just so daunting. I'm like I don't even want to touch the story because it's so long. But it's like I don't know. Like the end process for me, like I like once I'm in my mode, I can
Hmm.
crank things out and then at the end I can edit and make myself sound decent and but like it just in the beginning it's so hard. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm kind of on the other end of that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's what they say. You eat the elephant one bite at a time. That's the only way to eat an elephant.
Right. But I feel like I kind of get momentum when I do things and like when I see that elephant get smaller, I'm like, okay, like I can actually do this.
Yeah.
I had someone send me a 54-page story
Oh
and
gosh.
I was like there's no way. Like there's no way I can even come close to reading this. And so but once I got to around 30 pages, I was like, yeah, I can knock this out. It shouldn't be a problem. So,
Okay. Yeah. Got your workflow going and everything. Then it's you had your momentum going. There's no stopping you. Okay.
right.
All right. I guess we'll just open it up for like questions. If you guys have like questions about writing, we've been talking about like narration, about just like having goals and everything and working on them. Writing has kind of been somewhat in there. I've tried to work it in where it's applicable and everything, not trying to force it too much. But what questions do you guys have for us, especially having to do with like writing, or those sort of things? I guess.
I have a question.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I have a question for you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, mix things up a little bit. Where do you want to see your channel?
Hmm. I guess I would have to say honestly that my channel itself isn't so much of a goal. I guess the numbers don't matter as much to me because I've realized that it's like it's something I've realized that I got it too attached to the numbers and everything that I have to do because of the joy of it rather than just because of, seeing where the numbers are going. Not that numbers are unimportant or anything, but like I guess I'd like to be able to put out some of my like stories that I've really enjoyed doing and put those out in an audio format so more people can experience them. Because I mean, putting them on Reddit and stuff, having like that only gets them so far. Like it can, I guess, spread the word joy came to mind. I'm not sure if that's the right word exactly, but I can like spread my stuff further and stuff if I like narrate it. And because I feel like there's something special you bring to a work when you're narrating it yourself. Yeah, I guess that's where I'd like to be, just having converted some of my works over to where they, I guess, go all the way and that can get the appreciation they deserve and the attention that people can appreciate, like into another format that people can also appreciate and like enjoy. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, what about you?
Um, well, I do want to eventually get to the point. I'm kind of getting like a good base going in terms of followers.
Mhm.
I'd like to get to the point where I can do this full time. I think that'd be awesome. And if
Yes.
I could do that full time, I think that opens me up to so many different things. So there's like a lot of channels I follow, and there's a lot of great things I see in that. I see those great things, and I want to like. There's just maybe like two or three things I feel like, um, where like if they could just tweak it in a certain way, that'd be really cool. And so it's like just taking fun ideas, new ideas, and being able to kind of bring it over into that different format. But just kind of like expand into just not doing just narrations, but almost almost to the point where it's recognizable at almost every platform, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're looking to stretch yourself and I guess bring your talents to bear in like I guess new fields, I guess, so to speak. It's like where you're not
Well,
just
and
a one trick pony. You're the full.
yeah, well, and if you look at like, I feel like there are a lot of channels that do really great things with their channel, like, and they have a lot of great followers and things like that. But it's like it's just narrations, like it's not anything else. Where I feel like there are other channels where they do, well, like Corpse Husband, where he started to expand out into music, and then he started collabing with other people, and not just horror, but like in gaming and stuff like that. So, like, I think that's cool because you get recognized in other genres, if you will,
Yeah,
because horror is a very niche genre. Not a lot of people follow, like in the grand scheme of the world. Not a lot of people. I think maybe there's a couple channels that are in the millions, but I mean, if you look at I mean, you look at all of the YouTube channels, I mean, not a lot of them are in the millions. Where you look at gaming channels, or you look at meme channels or
yeah,
blogging channels, there's hundreds and thousands of channels that have, um, high numbers of followers, and they're more recognizable, and a lot of those things they can even lead to other platforms. Like I've seen channels on YouTube either, get incorporated into film or into TV series or things like that. And I don't think I'll ever get to that point, but just to kind of be just kind of expand out, not out of horror, but make horror something bigger,
yeah. Because
if that makes
narration is like, and like creepypastas are, they're like, it's kind of like I've realized where it's like for me, I want to be able to expand my writing, not necessarily like maybe potentially outside of horror a little bit, or at least so that I can like write it, just know how to write a good story, not just how to write a scary story. Because I feel like yes, both are important, but like you could write a scary story that's just like it's scary to you, but it's not engaging. Like yeah, you're kind of trying to be like to expand yourself and making I guess building more of a brand where it's something unique, it's something that's yours that people can
yeah.
identify you with. Um, you can bring something unique to the table. Okay, and I guess I there was a comment back here and from Blue. So I thought it was kind of interesting what you're saying. So like you're looking into writing stories with like a liminal space. So like which is that's something super interesting because it's like usually liminal spaces are like more of a visual thing. I don't know if you, Entropic, if you've seen any of those like backrooms videos and stuff. That's probably the most famous liminal space thing out there. You seen that?
Um, so I have seen it a lot. I don't know if you follow Original Jensen, but he does a lot of those cool animations with that.
I didn't know that. I
Yeah.
have to look at some
Yeah,
of
so
those.
yeah, so he's a wizard on Blender. I have him he's done a couple backgrounds for me. But yeah, no, yeah. So I don't think I understand completely what it is. I just know it's you're kind of in this area and you can't get out. and that's kind of all I
Yeah.
understand about
I think part of it is just like that I find so interesting is like for like liminal spaces is I guess that's the main concept where it's like a weird dreamlike space. The back rooms is essentially that, where it's like this very strange, lonely place that's not reality and you're stuck there kind of thing. And there's so much lore to it that just kind of keeps building and building with these different
it.
areas and
Right.
potential entities that are there. It's kind of a like there people are adding so much like kind of lore there, but yeah, I really love like liminal space and background stuff. So, like, and I feel like I don't know if I've ever put any of my stuff as isolation horror specifically, but I can imagine how, yeah, like one of them, like you probably do you know my story? I don't know if I ever, I don't know if you've watched it, like the story I wrote, Hell Frozen Over, that I narrated.
There's so much I've watched. I've watched your what is it? The 52 um or no, the like you did like 52 sentence stories. I watched that one.
Yeah,
Um I can't remember if I've watched because a lot of your stuff's kind of been it's been a minute.
yeah,
Like it's not
it's been a while.
yeah.
No worries, I was just
So
wondering.
I probably watched it in like either 2019 or 2020. Because yeah, like these past 2 years have just kind of been a blur. I don't know if you feel like that or not.
They kind of have, yeah. I graduated college and just like, yeah, I've read and been through so much stuff since then. Um, yeah, I'm seeing some more comments and like, and Blue was also asking about like if we had any tips or anything about writing, which we can get to. So as far as what you're saying, Blue, so I tried writing a story with a person called the Fool wandering into a frozen wasteland void, devoid of life yet familiar to him. That sounds kind of interesting. Yeah, that sounds a little like it sounds a little similar to like that's kind of where the direction I went a little bit with the story Hell Frozen Over. Basically, a guy wakes up in the Arctic tundra, just sees a light on this tower, and is just wandering towards it, and just like sees all these footprints and stuff. Doesn't know what he's doing there. Doesn't remember who he is. Like I find that a very interesting setting, and like most of the time, I kind of go towards forests and everything like that because it's just so like if you've ever been in a forest late at night with just a flashlight and like and nothing around you, it is freaky.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's yeah, you feel vulnerable, you're like exposed.
Yeah.
No, I know exactly what yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of those times where I'm like, a lot of times setting is kind of like, well, it's just a place for the story to take place, but I feel like isolating, that's a good word, Blue. Um, I, I feel like some places almost contribute more, but maybe that's just me personally, or maybe I just need to put more work into like when I'm writing, just establishing where it is and how that contributes and stuff. But I mean, like, yeah. Um, okay. And I guess what tips would you have for writing? Like, yeah, what tips would you have for writing for our listeners?
I typically like to write stuff that I like to listen to. It's kind of like the concept of investing, like invest into companies that you personally use. And so like I like to take fun ideas like in concepts and kind of throw them into already existing concepts. So there's a story I did where it was about wendigos. And because you become a wendigo or something if you eat human flesh or something, right? Like
Yeah.
it's a I think the actuality of it is it's a spirit that possesses you when you eat people. But I thought what what would be like an interesting concept I could do um to like incorporate that into Wendigos, and then I was listening to the staircase series or the like the search and rescue with the staircase,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think I heard I think I heard at one point like there was a story where like someone went up the stairs and went back in time, and I was like, that's a fun idea. So I thought, what if you could go back in time? So in order to kill the Wendigos, like you can't physically kill them, but you can prevent them to being a Wendigo. So this person goes back in time up the stairs, like he gets chased and he goes up the stairs, goes back in time before they're Wendigos, and he like feeds them, and then that's how he wins.
Yeah.
Like that to me was a fun idea, and so I'm like, that's kind of how I do stories. Is I'm like, well, what are some fun ideas? So like right now, I kind of have an interesting one where I heard about like these UFOs um like landing in the ocean, and I'm like, well, what if there was like an underwater base? And like you had to like go in a submarine to go to this underwater base. And you go down there and you find out that aliens have been like testing on people and stuff. Like I think like that's a fun idea.
Yeah.
So it's like so you take fun ideas and you add horror concepts to it, and that's what I enjoy because at that point it's not writing,
Hmm.
it's more of you're enthusiastically explaining through words, which I mean that's what writing is, but
Yeah.
like nothing's worse than when you're like purple door creaks and like it's like there's no passion, like there's got to be fire and you got to be excited about it. Like
Yeah.
I've written this series called the National Park Skinwalker Incident, and I keep adding new things to it, and it keeps making it exciting. And you think it's gonna go one way, and it doesn't. And then like there's always something new, and like there always has to be like twists. Like I like stories with twists because nothing's worse than like reading or watching something and you know what's going to happen and you call it a mile away and then it happens and you're like I know what's happening. But if you can write something that's new and that no one knows about and it's not only interesting but like people can't predict what's going on, I think that is what makes things exciting.
Yeah. Or if you're doing what you did and you just kind of take it and you like remix it's the wrong word, but like you kind of you change like the context of it. You just like, well, a lot of like, I mean, you're kind of exploring ideas in a different direction within the same sort of area. Um, yeah, that's what I try to do too, to where I'm like, kind of how I get a lot of my inspiration is just kind of normal things that I'm like, how can I make this like my brain just starts running. I'm like, how can I make this scary? To be just like I'm like the story I mentioned that I'm writing, it'd be like, how can I make an MMO scary? Like an MMORPG, I guess. I'm like, how can I make that scary? And just be like, oh well, there's a person whose consciousness is jacked into it, and their free will is um slowly being chipped away as they're just trapped, maybe not even aware of it. And it's just like, or um yeah, because I think subverting expectation can kind of do a lot as you're exploring it, and I think it like because it plays to the strengths of the concept of skinwalkers, what you were talking about, because of like when you kind of go around tropes and change things up, it reminds us why the things are scary. Zombies, for example, like they get boring after a while, but then World War Z comes out, they make the zombies fast. Terrifying.
Yeah.
People are terrified of that.
Yeah. I remember there were two movies that came out 28 days later and then 28 weeks later. When that came out, I legitimately looked at the world differently because I was so scared. Because I was like, because that was a very raw, like adrenaline filled type of movie where it wasn't like you said, like zombies got boring, like there's these slow moving people or whatever that, are dead. Where in this film, it was more of like these people are insane, like they're rabid, and they don't care about anything but like their purpose is to infect you kind of thing. And it's like I legit and not only are they fast but there's a lot of them. And
Yeah.
like that freaked me out so much when I was a kid. And so it's interesting, like you said, you take old concepts, you remix, like I think remix is fine, or you mix and match, or you take parts you like, you take parts you don't like, and you make it, you can take things that are not scary and you can make them scary. Like that's the fun thing about the horror genre. You can take anything, like, like nuns are supposed to be like these peaceful people, right?
Yeah.
And yet we found a way to make them scary. Or like child play toys. Like
Yeah.
they're supposed to be cute and adorable and get your attention, but then we somehow found a way to make them scary. Like that's like you take something that we understand and you make it into something that you don't, and that is scary.
Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it, just because like, yeah, you just kind of um you just take some you try to take something normal and like almost twist it, just be like, maybe you don't know the world as good as you think you do. And it's something with that's like people are familiar with, and I think that's kind of what, because I mean, I don't know, if you like, if you try to write an entirely, no, it's not. The thought I'm having is just like, if you try to write something that's so outside anyone's realm of experience, like it's so unique that it's outside of anyone's realm of experience, it suddenly becomes just like this ethereal thing you can't relate to. It's not really scary to you because it's just like, well, what is going on? But when you connect it to like deep themes of human fear, of just like insecurity about your place in the world, your like existential fears of your existence, and like that's kind of what I'm like free will control. I once wrote down like a bunch of stuff because I was explaining to somebody just like how a lot of different horror plays on different basic primal fears people have. I guess just like
Right.
personal control, personal security and safety. That's why there's so many home invasion horror stories and things like that. I've even done a couple that are like something like that, to be just like, um this girl is like on her phone and stuff, and suddenly this skinless man comes to her door, just like he's just red and gross and steaming out in the cold, breaks through the window and trying to get her. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know what point I was making there, but yeah. You guys are
Well,
going
and
off.
something
I'm
I
sorry.
yeah, something that I like also that I feel like horror kind of neglects a little bit is a lot of times there isn't a reason. I feel like things are just scary or things are happening and it's just because. Where, like you hear these home invasion stories and they're trying to get people and it's like, well, why? Like, why are they trying to get them? I like to always add things that make sense.
Yeah,
And it's like they're trying to get them because they're on the dark web, or they're trying to get them because they witnessed a crime, or like there's got to be a reason. And then but the thing is about that's cool is you don't have to make that reason apparent at first. Like that can always be a part of the twist.
yeah,
Like you're like, oh, the reason is because of this, and that makes sense, and then and then it all ties together. But like you got your, oh, the killer with the hook on his hand killed the couple on the car. It's like, well, why? Like, he's just weird dude, or did they hit and run him or something? Like, so like that to me, like, it also brings like a level of satisfaction, and then it makes it like you said, like it's not this thing that's just because that's not something that typically happens. Like, I can't say that it doesn't ever happen, but people typically just don't go and kill people just out of random. But I mean, maybe there are some times where that happens. But it's like there's
Students.
like a reason, and so like that's kind of what I like to do. Is it for me for to enjoy it when I'm writing is it's got to make sense.
yeah. I take it you're not a fan of the whole like man goes and kills people because he's evil and bad. Um, it, it's kind of why
Well,
I don't really like watching movies like I'm interested in the thing because it's an interesting premise, creature trying to survive, blends in and stuff. Whereas a movie like Halloween, where it's like there's a guy who wears a mask and he goes and kills people. Like I don't know, like that's as much as I really know about it without watching it. But
right.
um, a reason makes sense rather than they kill because they're evil and stuff. They just real crazy and bad, and they kill because they're just bad and crazy.
Right. Yeah. Well, and then I think some people can get away at times with the concept of, well, it's like that's what makes him scary. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't have a reason. He's just crazy. Like when you have like characters like the Joker, where that's his thing, where he's like he doesn't care. But like if you kind of peel away at it, like that his purpose is to like act with Batman or whatever.
Hmm.
Um so because Batman's trying to provide, peace and justice, where the Joker's trying to cause chaos and,
Hmm.
whatever. So, there's, you know, at the end of the day, there's going to be something. But like that for me, like that's like for me, it's gotta, well, especially like with my wife, like she's always asking questions in movies. It's like, well, why is this happening? And it's like, well, I don't know. And then the more I think about it, the more I realize, like, I don't know why. Like, it's like, oh, I guess that it makes it more apparent that it's fiction, where
Yeah.
if you can connect it and it can make sense, you're like, yeah, like this is something that can definitely happen. Like that to me is scary. Like things that are just on the outside of the realm of possibility,
Yeah.
like just a tinge, just like a sprinkle of fantasy, or just a sprinkle of just something that's slightly out of reach, but it's still something that could possibly happen.
Yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it because, like, you know how, like, I don't know if you're familiar with No Sleep, the writing subreddit, probably the
Yeah.
biggest horror subreddit there is for those who
Oh,
don't
it's
know.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and I managed somehow or other to get like one of my stories at the top of it one time, but like, which I'm super proud of that. Like, I was
Nice.
able to do that. It was so cool. I was like, I kept checking it and to be like, is it still up? Whoa, it's still up there. Whoa. Um, like a couple hours. I don't know. Like, but anyway, one of their big things is like stories have to be believable. Like, sort of like you shouldn't have to suspend your disbelief too much. Um, it, but like it's kind of almost slightly like threatening to expand your level of like what's possible because it's like there's plenty of things that I didn't think were like that I haven't thought were possible that like after I learned about it I'm like, oh, okay, my worldview got expanded. And I feel like good horror kind of does that where it's playing into that, like it's driving a wedge between the possible and the impossible and just kind of like making a little more space for potential possibilities, which makes it interesting. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. My only thing with no sleep, and just because I've had so many people shoot me down on there, is I got shot down so much that it caused me to write my own stories. But now I'm like, well, I don't want to post my stories on there because I don't want people to take them, because
Yeah.
so that's probably one of the only things that has held me back from posting on there. Just because that's, I feel like, something that makes my channel unique, because like a lot of times the stories you hear, you can only hear them on my channel, unless
Yeah.
someone somehow finds a way to maybe do voice to text, and or I don't know, somehow get my story. But like it's not on a public forum, so
Exactly. And if people were to take it, then like YouTube has things to be like, is like to I guess match videos and copyright things to be like, okay, this is exactly this audio and video and everything. If they were taking it like straight from that, like if they were to copy your videos and stuff. Yeah, there is a thing for no sleep that I was kind of like, um, because like I've had a few stories that were like taken for stuff, but in reality, the only stuff I've had that's been taken was just like I think like one 2 sentence horror story got nabbed up by some auto reader channel, which are like super low effort, just like but
yeah.
like and they've proliferated with YouTube Shorts as well, but they might have always existed, like they just changed forms. Um, but it was into like a 2 sentence horror one where it's just auto read just a bunch of random 2 sentence horror story ones, and mine was in there and stuff. But like my point is, I'm going all over the place. there is actually for no, like just so you know, there's a thing with no sleep, called like the no sleep watchdogs, where
Yeah.
that was part of the whole like because they have the writer blackout that they did because of just like essentially as a form of protest of like and just be like we're not messing around, we really need people to be asking permission and stuff, and that's important, and so we're not going to like we ask that nobody give permission to like narrate their stories for I don't know a month or something. That was like last year or something. Like No Sleep Watchdogs kind of enforces that to where like if they'll like let you know if stories are used without permission because they'll I don't know how they do it exactly, but I literally had a 2 sentence horror story like kind of get picked up and it was like oh by the way someone took this um and used it and stuff, but I've had good experience with it myself. Just I mean, some people just did get back to me, and some people like that's what's most likely to happen if I don't end up being able to um, narrate a story or something. But like when I explained it was a small channel, people wouldn't be too like, oh, well, that's okay. They'd be like, oh, that's okay or whatever. So I'm just happy to have my story narrated and stuff. So I guess we've seen different sides. We've had some different experiences with it. You've kind of had the short end of the stick with that. It sounds like. I'm sorry that's happened to you. I feel like yeah. Oh,
Well, I mean,
sorry.
I mean, it's it is what it is. I guess I don't. I'm not saying I'm bitter or anything, but I kind of it kind of made me do different things, which I'm happy about. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's I mean, I can kind of see where that's coming from. And there's also a time also where there was like what was it? They made like a list.
Like a blacklist
Um,
thing of just like
a
don't.
black yeah, they made a
Yeah.
blacklist. And are you a part of that Twitter group by chance? I can't remember if you are. I could
Uh,
probably check.
I haven't been on Twitter in like in like a year. Um,
Yeah.
but I like
I
you mean just like a narrator group or something? I'm taking it.
yeah. Let me check to see if you're in here.
I was in one of Mad Chatter's chats. Um, and there was the one
Because
that we were in together,
you were in mine.
the
I
Spooky
don't really.
Squad one or something.
Yeah, I don't really do anything with it now. Okay, so you're not part of this one, but there's another one that I'm a part of, and it's got a million people in it.
Mm.
But I commented once. I'm like, hey, so like, what's the deal with the blacklist or something? And it got a lot of
Mm.
people talking. They were like who's bringing this up? Like, what's going on? And apparently, like, there's a lot of people on there, but it's yeah, I don't know. It's obviously I'm not on there because I write most of all my stuff. But yeah, it's kind of an interesting idea because that's something I don't really understand, even being 3 years into YouTube. I don't know what you can use and what you can't use. All I know is you have to get permission, but it's like, do you have like how do you do that for like anonymous forums, or how do you at what point, like I know on Creepypasta Wiki there's like a what like a certain kind of clause or something, like if you post it on there it's free game or something, I don't know, but it's like there's just like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like
It's a
very hesitant whenever I use something that I don't write.
yeah, it's a confusing thing because I remember I heard you mention during your stream that like there was an anonymous horror story that you'd narrated, and I was just like had a little like bell ding off just because like kind of how I've learned to go about it is just a sort of like and it may have been because like I started as a writer first and I got to like see the writer's end of things to where I'm just like um is I've had the same question where I'm like there's some story way back when that I'd like some stories I'd love to like narrate that were like way back when like you probably heard the one where like there's the cabin in the woods and stuff and like the guy goes in the cabin and because he's lost and the window there's all these pictures of people in the windows and stuff with all these like with these terrible faces like that are all just look like they're looking at him. And he wakes up in the morning, he realizes they're windows. It's just like one of those, like,
Yeah.
you'll hear it around the fire, but it's anonymous. And like
Right.
me, like from where I've come from, it's been sort of like it's always better to ask permission than to have some sort of issues, because I don't know how the creepypasta wiki works with like copywriting and stuff. It's a bit harder to contact them on there than it would be on Reddit, because Reddit you can just DM them or just say in the comments, but like usually it's DM'd, just so that it's more private conversation and stuff. But like I feel like as far as Reddit goes, it's one of those things where like, well, if somebody writes something with the intent to share it, it's their, as far as Reddit goes, it's their own property to do with as they will. And so they have the right whether they want to allow people to um I guess use it on YouTube or make a profit off of it, because it's their own work. Creepypasta wiki, I don't really understand, but it's like I've had the same question. Like um a good place to go for stuff, questions like that might be the no sleep. I think I can put it in the chat, but like no sleep OOC, which is no sleep out of context, where they have discussions on that. I've asked questions like that, and people are essentially with anonymous stuff, and people are like, I would err on the side of caution, not worried about it, because you don't want to get a copyright strike. And like on something like that, it's better not to take the risk, especially if you're trying to profit off of it. And yeah, I don't know if
Mm.
I'm answering your question really, but like that's been my experience with it and my understanding.
Yeah, well, what's difficult for me is because I try to collab with a lot of people, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fun concept, and so I have to, like, not hound them, but I'm like, "Hey, like, you have permission for this, right?" A lot of times they're like, "Well, I got it from this, and it's an inactive account," and I'm like, "Okay, well, like, I'm just trying not to get copy striked here, like, I'm not
Yeah.
like, I don't care, but, you know, if someone's like, 'Hey, that's my story from 6 years ago,' and I get copy strike, like, it's gonna suck."
And that's a good call to be just like kind of a, well, better do it safe than sorry. I think people should be, if they're using something, should be aware of it. Like and it's one of those things where like even if the person is like, yeah, I'm fine with you using it, it's just like it's kind of like how things are. Like I don't know if you had like many siblings or anything. It's kind of like that, to where it's like, yes, you might be willing to give some, like your brother or your sister something, but it's like it makes a big, or like even just say your wife or somebody, it's like it's a lot nicer if somebody will ask rather than just assuming your willingness, and like and that just saves trouble there, I guess.
Hmm, okay.
And like so
Yeah.
I think you're going about it in a good way and stuff, and it's yeah, I feel like I've always provided the stories, and like if I've worked collabed on somebody else's channel, I assumed they had permission for the story I was doing or something, and usually they'll credit it and stuff, like credit to the writer and stuff as well, like just to that's more, it's a courtesy thing, just to be like, ask for permission, give a link back, so that people who like their writing can follow them, and credit goes where
Right.
credit's due. And that's like, and when money's involved, I'm like, it can, I don't know, my channel doesn't make almost any money, like, and so it's always a bit weird to be like, and I like my channel is monetized, but it doesn't make money.
Right.
Uh, How does that go for you with like with you being monetized and stuff? People talking about payment for their writing and stuff. Like well, no, wait, I just remembered you were talking. Mostly, you don't really use other people's stories a lot of the time.
Um, so I don't go out asking for them. I have had about maybe 10 people submit stories to me.
Hmm.
Um, and about 7 of which were very um difficult to read, but so I'll have either people submit them to me, um or like, so there was a time where I collabed with someone, and it's like, "Hey, did you get permission for these stories?" And then they ended up just blocking me, so I assumed that they didn't. So I had to take that video down. But yeah, anything that I don't ever monetize anything that I think might be an issue. But I like that's like that one like that's the only video I can think of where I just ended up taking it down. I was like, this is just a waste of stories. Like I'll just put this in another video.
Hmm.
Um, but like in terms of like, I guess, like, are you talking about like what to monetize and what not to, or like,
I guess more of just like I just meant having the like you've mentioned a lot of your experience has been just like you having the conversation with the writers and them not reacting well or something. Probably like uh like
oh,
that was that I guess could be considered part of an answer to the question even before I asked the question. But like working with when you have a monetized channel working with people and if they're like I'd like a cut because I've seen I mean I haven't got the ability to pay from like any profits that I'm making with my channel if I use someone's story. I'm like, well, if it ever does make money, I'll let you know. Like if it makes more than like if I ever get like a first YouTube check or anything like that, because I know you have to have like $100 or whatever. Yeah, that was more
yeah,
of what I was asking about.
yeah. So I've seen different things. I've seen other channels pay per word. I've seen other channels just like a flat rate of $20 a story.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. That's a great question. I have considered hiring just writers because there kind of comes a point where it's like I like to get new ideas and new stories and things like that, but that hasn't really come up to the point where I actually was serious. Like I'm more interested right now actually looking for animators than I am for writers. So I think it would be cool to animate some short stories.
Yeah,
I think that'd be really cool. It's just my only problem is I'm very picky with how things I want things to look a certain way.
yeah,
And a lot of times they get about 60% of what I'm imagining. And normally I don't care, but like to hire an animator, like it's pretty expensive.
yeah,
And so I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if I can justify, you know, because I think I was asking around and I was like how much for like a small story or like, and it was like a couple thousand. I'm like, because I don't like
a couple thousand dollars or
most
thousand like
yeah, $1,000 for
what?
like for like yeah for like a 5 minute thing,
Okay,
because well it takes a lot of time
yeah, that is true.
and and it's like a skill that's very limited,
Hmm.
um but like but like what was I saying, like for me, like if I kind of like I don't even make that near that on a typical video. And so it's like, well, I can't justify a few grand on a video I'm gonna make, you know,
Yeah, the payout's
not
just
even
not going to
half
be
that.
there.
Yeah. So you kind of have to weigh it, but I mean, I guess there comes a point where you kind of just got to figure out like there will be a time where I'll eventually just make the plunge. It's just gotta I kind of just gotta like justify it, if that makes sense. I'm a very like I wouldn't say thrifty, but I'm like an efficient person, and so I won't do things that just is wasteful.
Yeah,
And so it's like, like I want to be able to have it make sense and have it to be, I want to return on something, and not just lose a bunch of money. So yeah, I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I think another thing is like with the animation and everything, like I've seen a lot of different animation stuff. I think probably one of the most famous is like your weirdo MJ, I think it was, that had like one of the videos that's coming to mind is like um the dancing man or something like that. Like but like those are for like bigger channels. I don't know what their deal was, but I'm sure that they could pay for it.
Mm,
I feel like the quality of a lot of like horror
right.
animations is kind of lacking, especially when it's smaller, just because like their skills aren't really there. Obviously, it's not going to take as long if they don't do as high of quality, but they all, I don't know, it is hard to find like um it's hard to find good ones to begin with, and like the ones that are worth it, would be harder to, yeah. And maybe like a collaboration thing might be something that can kind of help out with that. Like, I don't know if you know, like I was considering doing something myself with Ram Muerto. Ram Muerto, right?
I not off the top of my head. I'm sure I could. What's the name?
Ram Muerto. So Rammuerto. He has like, I want to say like, I'm looking at it, like I just searched up his channel and stuff. He makes stuff on occasion. It's been, I think he just posted something like recently. I kind of like his animation style, but like it could be that the
Oh,
narration, like I don't know if he necessarily would be open, because he was like, when I talked to him, he was like, well, I'd like to, but I'm really busy and stuff, and we were going to do something, but like, if memory serves right, I can't remember the details, so it could be
oh,
like, it could be something where like like sort of, you scratch my back, scratch yours or something. Although, I don't know, like if you think about it in terms of a business deal, the amount of effort wouldn't be equal to be like, okay, well, I narrate stories for your channel and stuff, and like my people get interested in seeing some stuff animated on your channel, and I don't know, like animation, I can definitely tell you that.
oh, this guy up. Yeah, he interesting. Yeah, I'm checking him out right now. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, well, that's kind of like that's where things kind of get interesting. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like there comes a point where it's like there'll be other channels. I remember when I was super small, um, someone wanted to pick me up as like a full time narrator, and I was like, cool. Like, what's and they're like, yeah, and then I'm gonna pay you in exposure.
Mm,
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't think of anything of it. I was like, oh, okay. And then I was like on some messaging board or something, and they're like, yeah, like that's not. They're like, yeah, that's not cool. Like, you can't just do a bunch of audio for this guy and him not do anything for you. Like, there's got to be give and take. And I was like, oh, well, like I didn't know. So, like, I was so unfamiliar with like the whole concept of like YouTube and stuff. Like, I just and then I didn't realize he'd be making money off of video. Like, I don't
yeah,
I don't know. Like, when I first started making videos, I wasn't like I'm gonna make money. Like, I was just like, oh, this is fun. Like, I'm having a good time.
yeah.
So I don't know. But yeah, like with that, um, yeah, like I don't know. Like that's yeah, it's like I think it has to make sense for both parties, and like I don't know. So yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's something. I've always wanted to get in. Like I want to get into it, but like I said, it's got to make sense, and so yeah.
Well, I hope you're able to get to that point that like with your channel and stuff, that you're able to take like a story that you've written and stuff, and have that become this like, not only audio but also visual, like, the word left me. It's like audio and visual experience, I guess, that you create. And like, I
Right.
hope you get to that point to where that's feasible for you, even if it's only for like, say, a milestone type thing. Like, I feel like that would be really cool, that you'd be able to do that. But yeah, it
Yeah.
might be for you. Like, it sounds like at the moment, definitely not in the, like, doesn't seem like it's in the cards as far as paying for it, but it could be in the future, like if things continue to go well, and um headed in a good direction, it could be part of your journey, just a matter of later rather than never.
Right. Well, it's kind of like also like I've kind of set off a lot of YouTube money off on like other projects. Like I want to kind of get like my filmmaking up and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. But like that's definitely on the radar for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like yeah, like it's getting to the point where it's like things are starting. Like the ball is definitely rolling. In terms of like the followers are picking up and the view time's picking up and stuff like that. So the more that goes up, more everything else goes up. So yeah, well, hopefully that'll work out.
Yeah. I think it's something that like I think you've got a lot of good things going for you that you have like just because we've been like I think you've probably been making videos a little longer than I have and stuff, and your growth has been pretty consistent upward and stuff. I haven't, the analytics like I've looked at your analytics like I've looked at my analytics or anything, but it's like it's been cool to see, you increasing in your and I guess being able to have so much, like quality output and stuff. To where like it's not a full time job for you at the moment, but it's cool that it's able to be like any kind of side income, and your dedication seems to be paying off. That's all I'm
Oh well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's definitely um, it's definitely taken some time. I would probably say nearly a dozen times I consider just not ever doing it ever again.
saying.
Like yeah, so I don't know. Like I don't know if you ever feel that way or not, but I have to tell myself like if I were to ever become like famous or wealthy, like I feel like it would be through this. And that's what's kind of keeping me going. It's like I literally have to tell myself it's like I'll keep having to work a normal job unless I keep doing this. And so
Yeah,
that's kind of like the only thing that's like motivating me. Well, that and I enjoy doing it, but
yeah,
it's like nothing's gonna change for me. Like I'm gonna have to work that 7 to 5 job every day of my life unless I can get this off the ground.
yeah.
So
Like it reminds me of like a quote I saw recently that like don't let the desires of the moment take you away from what you want in the long term. The sort of like example of, well, I want to be able to say if someone's like, I want to compete in the Olympics, and then they're like, but then they look down and they're just like, I got a gut, and also these donuts are right here, and they're just like I want donuts right now, and they eat like four of them or something like that. It's
right,
that kind of thing where like you have to keep from, I guess, self-sabotaging a little bit, um, and just keep your eyes down the road, um, on what your goal is. Um, I think
yeah,
that's a cool goal because I think it's something that I had to learn where it's just like, and I mean, I didn't even really go anywhere monetarily with my channel. It did get like it has gotten a good number of subscribers, and I'm honestly like surprised to still see it growing somewhat. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Um, I forget where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought entirely. Happens.
very
Where
good.
was it? Yeah, it's gone.
No, you're good. Well, yeah, and that's the thing too, is like it only takes one viral video
Hmm.
to take you somewhere crazy.
Yeah,
And the more you do things, the more you can see patterns with things. And
yeah,
so I realized what I did really well, what made me different, because like you have some channels where they're just off the bat, you're like, wow, this person's very talented. Where with other channels, I think I kind of fall under. It's like, wow, this is just like a normal dude. So you kind of have to find things that you have to spice it up a certain way. And so for me, I realized I really enjoy long formatted videos
hmm,
where a lot of channels don't do that. Like you look at some channels, they might maybe do an hour, maybe.
hmm,
Um, But like you look at like Mr. Nightmare, he does like 20-minute videos or he does like
Hmm.
15-minute videos. And it's like well, that's like I could do that and then I realized there's certain types of videos I really enjoy. So I do those. And then a big thing, and this is kind of hurting me at the moment, but I think it's also helping. I don't put ads in the videos,
Hmm.
like in the middle parts.
Yeah.
So I'll still do in the beginning or at the end. But like that way, because like I listen to stories when I sleep, and then I have to always wake up and turn the like look at my phone and hit skip, and then go try to go back to sleep, and I have to do that like 5 or 6 times. So it's like, well, if I can do that differently, where they don't have to do that, it's a longer video, and then I also mix things up with like background music and
Yeah.
rain music and
And
things
like
like
your
that, where it's
visuals
like,
and everything too, that like you have those like a few different visuals and stuff that you do, and like and I guess that's during your streams as well. Maybe is what I'm thinking of, but yeah.
but yeah, but it's like you kind of have to find like everyone's thing has small holes or small areas where it could be better for other people, and
Yeah.
so there are a lot of channels that cover most of what I think to be the ideal channel. Where I'm like, oh well, like so this is like my concept of the ideal channel. So that's kind of what I've got going. So,
Okay. Yeah.
but I don't know how long you're planning on streaming tonight.
I was.
I don't.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, because I have to. I'm gonna be out of town this weekend, so I gotta
Oh,
do
okay.
some recording tonight. But I don't know if you have anything else planned or anything. I'm not trying to cut you off or anything.
Worries. I don't want to keep you past the time that you got. Boundaries are a good thing. And if you need to go, you can go. I might stream for like just a little bit longer, or just on my own and stuff, just chatting. Um,
Oh, okay.
so you're free to go. Thanks for coming, guys. Well, I was mixing up in my brain to be like, thanks for coming, Entropic. Now, people in the chat say bye to Entropic, but I was like, I mixed those up. But yeah, thanks for coming. It's been good getting your thoughts on all these things. Cool
Yeah,
hearing
of
about all the
course.
projects and stuff that you got, like all the stuff you've got in mind. It's like, yeah, I guess two last things, I guess, before you go. Like the way that I see a lot of this is like, and you'll probably agree, like with anything creative, it's kind of like you become, the word isn't coming. You become more fluent, I guess, in it. It's like learning a language to where like there's nuances and these different things that you learn over time, those patterns you mentioned, and I guess how your own stuff works yourself, your workflow, it becomes like you start to be able to see it in more, like you're able to articulate better what's happening and understanding it. It's really like the more you do, the more you see, the more you can change, the more you can improve, and like um yeah, and I guess yeah, and that was really about it, I guess. So wish you the best. Take care. Looking forward to seeing what you're coming out next with. Um,
Oh yeah.
thanks for joining.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for having me on and asking me questions and answering my questions. So yeah, no, yeah, and then hit me up in the future if you want to do anything. Obviously I'm down for just about anything. So yeah.
Sure thing. Yeah, I might if you have do you have like the collaboration thing? It's I've kind of forgot about it a little bit, but it's been in the background a little bit. What do you have a theme for it? I guess just so that people here can look forward to it, but also I'm like, if you'd have a story, I could send it, especially if you're like, if you're planning on doing the editing on everyone's stuff when they send it in, or like, do you this collaboration, what's it going to be like what theme?
Yeah, so it's a cryptid collaboration. So it's yeah, so what I'll have people do is I'll have them make the audio and then edit it, but like have no
Hmm.
background music.
Yeah.
And then once it's edited, send it to me. So that's supposed to come out this weekend. I've tried to give people 2 weeks notice on videos, but a lot of times just life gets in the way. I've talked to some pretty big channels. I've talked to some smaller channels. Like I don't, it's whatever. But I've got about four channels right now. Like that's what I gotta get working on tonight is my part of it.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
yeah, like if you can get it to me, shoot, like if you like, well, that's the thing too. Like it doesn't have to be anything new. Like you can send me old audio
Oh, okay.
of cryptid stuff. Like if you have just some cryptid stuff lying around, you can send it to me. And I try to get my videos out on Sunday. I try to get all the recording done Saturday, the uploading and all this stuff out on Sunday. So if you can get it to me before Saturday, then that should be doable.
Yeah, I'll let you know if I can find anything that like any stories that I've done that I could send over or
Okay.
something. But like I'm not sure that I have anything on hand necessarily, but
Right.
it
Well,
might
and
be a
that's the
bit too
thing
short
too.
notice. Like since I'm like, oh, you are posting. If you're posting this Sunday, it might be more of a
Yeah.
try again next time sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Is like if it doesn't work for this video, I can always make another
Ah,
video.
yeah,
So,
yeah. All right,
so yeah, just keep me in the loop.
will do.
All right, man. Well, hey, thanks again, and take care.
You too. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Okay, so that was Entropic Society. We didn't talk about writing as much with him as I kind of thought. Um, but it was in there. It was in there. Only got like I'm probably only going to be streaming for just a couple more minutes. I'm getting tired. I mentioned earlier I don't have a good setup anymore to where like I'm just sitting on my bed, honestly. um, which gets a little bit uncomfy because I'm not laying in it. So we're going to be finishing up soon. Any of you guys have um any questions or anything, or I can just talk whether or not I have questions. I'm Whether it makes any sense or not, we'll just have to see. But oh yeah, thanks. I'm glad you like the stream, Artzilla. Um, what are you up to these days? I haven't gotten to see much. I haven't gotten the chance to watch any of your stuff recently, but what are you up to these days? I guess it would help if I said things since you can't verbally reply at least. Yeah. Hopefully you've been doing good. I think you might be the last person in the stream at the moment. Oh, I guess we got two or one A still in there. Um, yeah. Uh, took a short break from videos, but a few days ago I started recording my new live video. Awesome. That's cool. I do not understand art very well. I think it is cool. I my my mother is she's really good at art, but like I did not develop the skill for it, but I think I developed the eye for it. I like doing photography and stuff. That's kind of my way of being at least artistic. It's capture something. It feels like it takes less skill than painting or doing kind of what you do. And so yeah, and oh yeah, your gaming streams. I haven't gotten to see any of your gaming streams recently. Those are always fun because like it's just nice to hang out with somebody. I feel like it's yeah, just like it's just super fun hanging out during a gaming stream, and you always play fun games and stuff. Last one that I'm remembering that I popped into must have been Tomb Raider, I think, and then before that, I was enjoying watching you play like Spyro and stuff. Um, probably better go. Thanks for coming. I don't know if there's anyone going to be watching this later. Um, at least not. I don't know if you'll be watching this far into it, but thanks for watching. If you have, I'm not dead. In case any of you are wondering, I've been doing a lot of writing and stuff, and um, myself, and like I don't know if I said it very succinctly, but like I guess I mentioned it when I was talking to Entropic Society, but like I haven't been really prioritizing my channel very much. 'Cause editing is a lot of work, as you know. um, and I guess I've gone back to like I've gone to just writing more, but there's a couple of things that I'd like to be able to eventually narrate and everything of my own. Um, yeah, one of them, it's a fun one involving mannequins. That's a fun one. Um, I think if I'm remembering the name right, it's called something like I traversed the depths of the uncanny valley and I barely survived. Um, uncanny valley stuff is just super interesting to me. It's why I love skinwalkers and the whole voice thing. When YouTubers can like horror narrators can do the voice right to where it just sounds non-human but still somewhat recognizable. Super cool. I love that. I don't know if I'll be able to pull it off, which is kind of why I'm a little nervous with the project. I got some audio sort of stuff that I'd like to be able to capture. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Take care and